Humans have been building fences for thousands of years. A fence can be built using a variety of materials, but one of the oldest and most traditional methods is the use of sticks woven and intertwined with each other. In Britain, this particular fence-making method has been used for thousands of years. From building Iron Age houses to medieval livestock fencing, it is a tried and tested skill that is still employed to this day. Hazel fences were even used by the British Army during World War I and World War II to shore up trenches and build tracks along boggy terrain. I have personally used this type of fencing to hold turf on the top of our turf roof Viking house. We have also used it to build solid walls to our Anglo-Saxon Gruben house. In this video, I am going to show you how to build a hazel hurdle, which we will use in the construction of the walls for our Celtic roundhouse. Before we begin weaving the fence, I needed to make a base from which to work. For this, I repurposed the old bed that we had built in the Viking house series. Hazel grows abundantly here in the UK. Traditionally, it is cut or coppiced during winter when the sap is down. We are harvesting the hazel during late spring, which is not the right time to do it, but for the purpose of this video, it should suffice. Using a simple barrel-eyed Scotch auger, I drilled 4 holes into the baseboard. Dustin then placed the uprights into the holes that I had made. From here, it was just a case of weaving the hazel rods in and out of the vertical uprights. After a while, the pressure put on the vertical rods will make them want to splay outwards. To help prevent this, I twisted a piece of hazel to make a withy. I wrapped this around the end vertical post and pulled it tight. This helps to keep the fence straight and compact. It also helps to increase the strength of it.
So whilst we've been placing these hazel sticks, staggering them, weaving them in and out of the vertical posts, you may have noticed that I have been at certain intervals twisting the hazel, getting those fibres basically broken up so that it almost turns to rope, and then doubling it on itself and weaving it back in. And it's really important that you do that when you're doing this kind of thing, because if you keep stacking the sticks on the top, what you'll find is these outside sticks, the verticals, will start to splay out to the sides, and your fence will just end up getting wider and wider and wider, and it'll kind of fan out. So by making what's called a withy and breaking the fibres up in the hazel, twisting it on itself, it's basically pulling it all back inwards, so it stops your fence from breaking apart. Now, we are currently end of May coming out to June, and really it's not the best time to be making a withy because you need that sap to be rising in the wood. So really you should be doing it kind of end of February, March time, and it just makes it so much easier to work with. We've also had a really long spell of dry weather here in the UK, which means that these are starting to get brittle. Even though they're green and even though they've got moisture in, they don't have as much moisture content as normal. So a lot of the time I am doing it and it does snap. But I've found a piece here and it seems pretty bendy. Now it also does have some dry spots in it, and I just like to test it. I can see a bit of green bark there. To do a withy, Paul Kirtley, I did a video with Paul Kirtley a while ago, a Bushcraft skills video. I'll link it up here if you want to learn the proper way to do it. It's a really informative Bushcraft video. I'll put it in the description below. But essentially what you're doing is you're giving the stick a Chinese bun. So you're kind of twisting it like this, and as you twist it, you roll it as well on itself, and you work your way. Now that's brittle there, so you can hear that crack, so I know that's not so good. So up here, the higher end of the wood is always going to have less moisture near the top. So as I twist, to be honest, see how that's brittle and breaks? So if I come back down lower, we'll try it. It might not work on this one. It doesn't work on every stick. But if I come back down here maybe, there should be a bit more moisture in this. There was the crack. That's better. You want to hear that one pop. So now I can twist it, and essentially you can see there, if I work my way round, you can see if I twist it, it goes a bit like rope. As I twist here, you can see those fibres breaking up. Now they're not snapping completely, so I can bend that on itself. They have broken a bit there where it's dry, but most of it here has stayed intact. And by making that U shape there, I can then weave this back in the hazel wall itself, and that will dry and it will season. And when it does dry and season, it's all going to bind together, and this whole wattle wall is going to constrict, bind together, and it will set really hard. And even that U shape there will not be a weak point. It's going to pull those vertical posts that are out like this back inwards and keep it all rigid and nice and straight. We're just over halfway now, and we've collected a bit more hazel, which, by the way, when cutting it, it does respond well to being cut. It grows even more shoots than before, so it's a very well coppiced wood here in the UK. I know people will be concerned about cutting down live trees, but by doing this you're actually helping the tree thrive even more, and the forest canopy in general do better from it. So it is a thing that is practiced here in the UK. There we go, that's a witty. Link in the description to the proper way to do it. So this is the final product, almost. Obviously we've got to remove the base from where the hazel was going into the base itself. This, by the way, was the base of the bed that I built with Dustin for the Viking house. The uneven, splintery bed.
But hey, glad you said it, not me.
Yeah. Look, it's getting put to use. We're recycling bits from the Viking house, and this is essentially the final outcome. It does take time, but minimal tools needed. And it's really satisfying, isn't it, when you start slotting that hazel?
It's like weaving. I enjoy a bit of basket weaving, and it really is very therapeutic.
Yeah.
And getting all those, slotting them in, and look how strong this has become.
Absolutely rigid. And that's green wood. Once this dries, in a couple of weeks' time, this will be so solid. The other way that you can do this, there's a number of different ways, is we could have got these stakes and hit them in the ground, made a point on them and hit these vertical stakes in the ground, done the same concept, and then lifted the wattle wall up itself, look that way. However, obviously you're then restricted on moving these vertical posts a bit more. I personally find, I've done it that way, but I do find it a bit more restricted. We could have done that over on the Celtic roundhouse itself. We could have put these stakes in, got them all nice and vertical with the cross members, and then weave the sticks in that way. But by doing this way, you get a lot more control on the dimensions that you want for your fence. This is probably, what, 4 foot by 3 and a bit feet?
Yep.
We'll make some 6 foot ones maybe. Sometimes we make them just standard 6 feet and crop them, and just get some snippers or a saw and crop them. You guys have seen on the Turf Roof Viking House series.
We could even use this method for making the door for the
yeah,
roundhouse
exactly,
as well.
Exactly. But I've done it before where we've just got maybe an oversized fence, hazel hurdle, put it up against the Viking turf house, for example, and just trimmed it to length. It's a lot easier by doing it that way. So hopefully that's helped some of you guys out there on how we made the wattle walls for our Celtic roundhouse. Myself and Dustin I've got a lot of work to do now to make the rest of these for the next episode for these guys. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work sourcing all of these,
Yeah.
stripping all the, not the bark for once, but stripping the leaves.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's a long process, but it is enjoyable and it's a beautiful day.
It is, yeah.
So hopefully next episode of the Roundhouse, guys, we might have some walls up.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch up with you guys in the next episode. What we've got to be careful here is the ends popping out. So just be aware of those. I'm going to stand on this end and just give it a wiggle. There we go, it's coming. Lift, 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 lift. There we go. Lift that up. It's like a fish. Look at that. That is a full hazel hurdle.
Look how satisfying that is.
That's how we build them.
That is brilliant.
Awesome, isn't it?
That's a wall. That's a wall right there.
That's one solid wall. And how much does that weigh? That is heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mind you, it's got a lot of moisture in it still. But
Yeah,
when
yeah.
that
When
moisture
it dries,
goes,
it'll be good.
and there we go. That's how we make them.
That was a great effort today.
Yeah, enjoyed that.
So if that's taken 1 day to make, we have another 12 days worth.
Definitely.
12 days worth of walls that we're probably not going to film.
We're going to be busy. Yeah, we filmed it for you in one video, guys, because otherwise it's just going to be the same repetitive video for you. So this is how we built them. The next episode we'll be getting the walls up on the Roundhouse.
Great job.
Ooh.
Really good job.
There we go. Almost perfect.
Almost perfect. Need to trim it down the
I
bottom
was going to
a
say,
bit.
if we could whack those in, maybe.
Might be a bit high,
Yeah,
but it's alright. It just needs a little bit of adjusting to get it to fit.
not a bad job. Not bad.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with it. Job done.
Alright, 12 more to go.
Yeah.